Tonight on NewsWatch, American troops in Afghanistan. A look at the president's plan for a military presence in the country.
Plus, health care for our soldiers, why the Department of Defense is investigating how service members are treated.
And see how an oil boom is transforming North Dakota. All this and more tonight on NewsWatch. And good evening, everyone. I'm George Thomas.
And I'm Heather Sells. President Obama is declaring American isolationism is not an option. The president used his speech today at West Point's commencement ceremony to give a broad defense of his foreign policy.
And to that point, it is a policy that has faced intense criticism after a series of crises from the Middle East to Asia. Here's our tonight's top story.
Just because we have the best hammer does not mean that every problem is a nail.
6 years into his presidency, Barack Obama says America must continue to be the leader on the world stage. But
U.S. military action cannot be the only or even primary component of our leadership in every instance.
Speaking to graduates at West Point, Mr. Obama laid out again a foreign policy doctrine which he believes must be rooted in diplomacy rather than always resorting to military intervention.
And I would betray my duty to you and to the country we love if I ever sent you into harm's way simply because I saw a problem somewhere in the world that needed to be fixed, or because I was worried about critics who think military intervention is the only way for America to avoid looking weak.
But critics say America has lost influence under this passive doctrine and that the president's indecisions on major crises like in Syria, Iran, Russia, Ukraine, and China, among others, have left the country weak. A recent poll shows 59% disapprove of Obama's handling of foreign policy. His commencement address comes a day after he announced plans to draw down U.S. combat operations in Afghanistan. Currently, some 32,000 American troops are on the ground. That will reduce to 9,800 by the end of this year, with a projected 5,000 in place by the end of 2015. And by 2016, all troops will be out of Afghanistan, except for embassy personnel. This has been America's longest war, but is it ending in victory?
Well, I think it's ending in the best thing you can do, which is give the Afghans the opportunity to decide their own future. This is their country, George. They have to want to fight for it. They have to be prepared to fight for it.
But top Republicans like Lindsey Graham said the president's decision to withdraw troops will only embolden the enemy. Writing on Twitter, Graham said, quote, "The Taliban and al-Qaeda will welcome this decision. The Afghans who fought alongside us will be devastated." The president's West Point address is the first in a series of foreign policy speeches he's expected to give in the aftermath of the Iraq and Afghanistan wars.
And during his speech, the president also announced plans to partner with other countries to push back against radical extremists. The proposed $5 billion terrorism partnership fund would allow the United States and its allies to face the international terror threat together.
And for more on the president's plans overseas, we turn now to Dr. Paul Bonicelli. He's the executive vice president of Regent University and an expert on foreign policy. Thanks for joining us today.
Glad to be here.
The critics, of course, are saying that the president's plan is too passive. What's your take on it today?
I think it is because it really is a reaction to the criticism. The president's policy has taken another turn with Afghanistan. He was going to be out totally by 2014. Now it's going to be 2016. So keeping 10,000 troops there now is sort of a way to mollify critics. But the critics' complaint has never been just about troop numbers. It's been about letting the Taliban know and the terrorists know that you're going to leave one day. So I don't think that fixes the problem. The larger issues of fighting terrorism, part of the reason he's having to do that in Syria and other places is because he let it get to that point without standing up, 5 years ago.
Did he accomplish anything today? Did he make any advances with his speech?
I don't think so. The reason I don't think so is because he's trying to satisfy two groups. He cannot go too far to the right, so to speak, because his left-wing base really wants him to be much more pacifist. And he cannot go far enough in terms of his critics, which are both Republican and Democrat now, when Syria, China, and Russia are still what they are, which is failures in his foreign policy.
A lot of tough spots. There was one thing that he said in particular that I was really interested in. He talked about American exceptionalism, which of course he's talked about in the past. And he said, "I believe in American exceptionalism with every fiber of my being." What's your take on him coming around to that?
Sounds like he's changed his mind on that like he did on gay marriage. He used to be very clear about exceptionalism. that it was a problem to consider ourselves exceptional, that the Greeks consider themselves exceptional, the Dutch consider themselves exceptional, et cetera. And so now he's saying that because I think he has to do something to make it look like he's not going to have a legacy of failure and weakness. And that's what he's in line for if he keeps this up.
It's interesting. There's also a poll out saying, like George mentioned in his package, 59% of Americans disapprove of how he handles affairs overseas. What do you think this says overall about the administration and how the public views it?
I have a little sympathy for the president because he knows well that if he were to be more aggressive and look like he's getting us into wars on the ground, then the polls would shift and people would be upset that the president has dragged them into a war that they don't want. The problem here, though, is still the president's. He is supposed to lead. He's not supposed to care what the public opinion is. If he believes our security is at stake, he should lead them. And when he does, as every president has done, he gets the public behind him.
All right, Dr. Bonicelli, thanks for your time.
Sure.
One other item from overseas, a pregnant woman was stoned to death by her own family outside a courtroom in Pakistan. Farzana Parveen's father called her murder an honor killing because she married outside her family's will. Nearly 20 people attacked the 25-year-old and her husband in broad daylight, including her father, brothers, and her cousin, the man her father had chosen to be her husband. The Human Rights Commission of Pakistan reports that some 869 women were murdered in so-called honor killings last year.
Author and poet Maya Angelou has died. She was 86 years old. Angelou rose from poverty and segregation in the South to pen the most popular presidential inaugural poem in history. In 1993, she read On the Pulse of the Morning at President Bill Clinton's first inauguration.
Here, on the pulse of this new day, you may have the grace to look up and out and into your sister's eyes and into your brother's face, your country, and say simply, very simply, with hope, good morning.
Angelou is considered one of the first Black women to enjoy mainstream success, winning numerous awards for her autobiography, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. The former poet laureate started writing poetry at age 9.
Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel is ordering a review of the entire military health system. It comes in the middle of a growing concern over medical treatment of America's soldiers. The Army has removed a North Carolina Medical Center commander after problems with patient care may have contributed to the deaths of two 20-somethings within just the last 2 weeks. The 90-day review also comes as new revelations on how VA clinics used tricks to hide delays in treating veterans. Some clinics made fake appointments, kept unofficial logs, and scheduled visits without telling the patient. In Colorado, 500,000 veterans are still waiting for a hospital promised to them 10 years ago.
We kept our word. We served honorably and in return.
I don't hate the VA. They got some of the greatest employees that give caregivers in the world. But their management, they got to change.
The building project is some $500 million over budget, and 16 contractors are suing because the VA isn't paying them.
New York City police officers will soon start carrying heroin overdose antidote kits. With a recent spike in heroin-related deaths, the city says the kits are needed to help save lives.
Heroin has been growing as a problem, and it is now interwoven with abuse of prescription opioids and other drugs. It is something we have to fight, and naloxone is an important part of our efforts because it actually counteracts the effects of heroin. The way you die from a heroin overdose is you stop breathing. And naloxone is something that gets people breathing again.
Nearly 20,000 city cops will carry the antidote kits. Money collected from civil and criminal drug cases is helping to pay for some of that initiative. Well, heroin use is on the rise across the country, and that includes America's suburbs.
Laurie Johnson explains how its popularity is directly related to the increase in prescription drug abuse.
Millions of American adults and teenagers are addicted to the prescription painkillers Vicodin and OxyContin, so much so that they'll do anything to get them, even kill. But finding the drugs and paying for them is harder and harder. Sometimes just one pill sells for $80. So addicts, like this woman, often switch to the painkiller's cousin, heroin, because it's easier to find, cheaper, and packs a bigger punch than painkillers.
If you hear about something that's like that, only 100 times stronger, I can definitely see the appeal.
But the appeal fades quickly. Soon it takes more of the drug to get the same high, that feeling that becomes the only thing in life that matters.
It's horrible. It's horrible because you don't want to do it anymore, but you just don't really have any choice.
Rehab centers report a rise in heroin abusers, especially ones from middle-class homes, because heroin has become more available in places you'd never expect.
It's cheaper for kids. I mean, because that's the question you ask. Why did you start with heavier drugs than alcohol? And most of them tell you it's easier to get than alcohol.
Therapist Linda Mintle says there's only one way to break the bondage of heroin addiction.
This is not about willpower. You cannot will yourself off of this type of biological pull that is in the brain. So you really need to have something bigger than yourself, and the transcendent power of God, the relationship with Christ, who is in you, who can help you, who can strengthen you to do all things, is absolutely necessary in any addiction treatment.
Mindel says people can die from a heroin overdose the very first time they use it. She recommends parents talk to their kids about the dangers of heroin and intervene if they see changes in their child's personality, weight, friends, or schoolwork. Lori Johnson, CBN News.
Coming up, fighting for Jerusalem, how Israel recaptured the holy city nearly 50 years ago.
When it comes to finding true love,
we've got a little surprise for you.
All other dating shows don't have a prayer.
Your church is about to play matchmaker.
Oh, my word.
Natalie Grant and congregations from coast to coast help one of the faithful find their chosen one.
Tall, dark, handsome.
He cries easy.
It Takes a Church premieres Thursday, June 5th at 9/8 Central, only on Game Show Network.
I was having some pains between my shoulder blades. At that point, everything changed. Diagnosis, pancreatic cancer. First, there was prayer. The second is to fight. As soon as we walked through those doors at Cancer Treatment Centers of America, all my anxiety left. The pastoral care here is based on the Bible, based on the Word of God, just as it is at our own church.
When you combine the great medicine with the spiritual resources we have, it provides the patients with something that really can make a difference.
You got a pastor right there on staff praying with patients, and whether it be scripture or whether it just be a word of encouragement to say, God's got this.
If you or someone you love is fighting complex or advanced stage cancer, go to cancercenter.com/faith. You'll learn how our treatment results compare to national averages and see a list of insurance plans with which we've worked. Advanced medicine and technology, the warm embrace of the Spirit.
I firmly believe God led me here.
Call or go to cancercenter.com. Cancer Treatment Centers of America. Care that never quits. Appointments available now.
When it comes to finding true love,
we've got a little surprise for you.
All other dating shows don't have a prayer.
Your church is about to play matchmaker.
Oh, my word.
Natalie Grant and congregations from coast to coast help one of the faithful find their chosen one.
Tall, dark, handsome.
He cries easy.
It Takes a Church premieres Thursday, June 5th at 9/8 Central, only on Game Show Network.
Today marks the 47th annual Jerusalem Day. The Israeli holiday celebrates the reunification of Jerusalem after Israel captured control of the Old City during the Six-Day War. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu marked the day by vowing Jerusalem will never be broken up, telling the Knesset 47 years ago Jerusalem was unified and it will never be divided again. Israel considers Jerusalem to be its capital, but Palestinians say Israel needs to cede the city, claiming the eastern part as their future capital. Well, the history behind Jerusalem Day is a great story.
On June 7th, 1967, Israeli forces stood at the walls of Jerusalem's Old City, ready to take it over for the very first time in almost 2,500 years. Take a look.
June 7th,
Just 2 days into the war, Israel had already pushed deep into Egypt, pushed Jordan out of much of the West Bank, and pummeled Syria with artillery fire. Now on day 3, Israel's leaders were poised to do the unthinkable, to recapture Jerusalem and bring the city under Jewish control for the first time in nearly 2,500 years. 1 day earlier, Israel's 55th Paratrooper Brigade had fought its way to the walls of Jerusalem's old city. Now at sunrise on June 7th, Israel's military command ordered the paratroopers to take the city. They advanced through the Lion's Gate and encountered fierce house-to-house combat along the way. That morning, soldiers reached the western wall of the Temple Mount, the holiest place in Judaism. In nearly 20 years of Jordanian rule, no Jew had been allowed in the area. Military leaders Moshe Dayan and Yitzhak Rabin arrived at the wall, where many of the paratroopers wept for their fallen comrades. Rabbi Shlomo Goren blew the shofar, and Israel reclaimed its heritage in the ancient city. It was one of the most joyful moments in Jewish history. General Moshe Dayan later ruled that Muslims could keep control of the Temple Mount, the site of the Al-Aqsa Mosque and the Dome of the Rock. His decision angered many Jews who had been denied access to their holy places for so long. On the Sinai Peninsula, Israel surrounded the Egyptian army, and the rout of Egypt was well underway. In fact, Egypt's retreat was so chaotic that Israel's advance was slowed by stalled Egyptian vehicles. The same day, Israel's navy reached Sharm el-Sheikh to reopen the strategic Straits of Tiran. In the West Bank, Israel's military victories forced Jordan to declare a ceasefire and withdraw completely from the biblical lands of Judea and Samaria. Israel now had control of cities rooted in Jewish history, such as Hebron, Jericho, and Bethlehem.
Up next, how a new generation of prospectors are finding fortune beneath the plains of North Dakota.
From CBN.
Broken Eardrum is playing at the Civic tonight.
And you'll just have to miss it.
This is so incredibly unfair.
A special story of love and sacrifice.
Joy, Mom comes up with something.
Christopher Quantum, you and I are going to discuss your attitude right this minute. Superbook.
No!
Join the Superbook DVD Club and get Superbook's newest episode, He is Risen. Plus 2 copies to share with others. All for your gift of $25.
They have arrested Jesus, the Messiah. Do you not know that I have the power to crucify you?
No! Please! You can't! They've taken him to Golgotha. We must hurry. Mary is about to lose her son. The worst thing any mother could face. I am not leaving her.
Superbook. It's an amazing way to build a strong spiritual foundation in the children you love.
Mary, who are you looking for?
I've seen him! He is alive!
Superbook. He is Risen. Available now.
Announcing an important breakthrough in healthcare that can benefit everyone. If you or anyone you love needs affordable health insurance, regardless of a pre-existing medical condition, call Quick Insurance 123 today and get the immediate relief you deserve. Quick Insurance 123 was created to provide affordable health insurance to all uninsured Americans, with or without pre-existing conditions. This is not a discount card. This is a real insurance program that lets you choose from many affordable health plans, with access to doctors, hospitals, emergency services, and more. So call the number on your screen now and get the health coverage you need just for calling. As a special bonus, we'll send you a free prescription savings card that could save you up to 85% on your prescriptions. That's right, you could save up to 85% on your prescriptions just for calling. Call Quick Insurance 123 to find out how you can get affordable health insurance and receive your free prescription savings card just for calling. Don't wait. Getting a free quote is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Call today.
This is a national healthcare alert from the Health Hotline. If you, a family member, or a loved one suffers from knee pain and have Medicare as your primary insurance, we've got great news. You could qualify for a pain-relieving knee brace at little or no cost to you. Get free delivery, and all the paperwork is handled by our accredited suppliers at no charge to you. If you're on Medicare and have knee pain, don't wait. You may qualify to immediately receive a pain-relieving brace at little or no cost. Friendly agents are standing by 24/7 to help you. Call the health hotline right now for details toll-free. Our friendly representatives are standing by now to take your call. We also have other pain-relieving braces available for shoulder, ankle, and your back. You may be eligible to receive these items and more at little or no cost to you as well. Call right now for details toll-free.
Operators are standing by. Call 855-740-8143. That's 855-740-8143. Again, 855-740-8143. That's 855-740-8143.
And welcome back. When you think of North Dakota, you might not picture a land of prosperity, but that's exactly what it's becoming.
It's all thanks to a huge oil boom. In tonight's Focus Report, David Brody shows us what's causing the industry to prosper.
History books tell us about the famous California gold rush in the 1800s when people headed west to strike it rich. Well, welcome to western North Dakota, where an oil rush is on for people like Curtis Hansel.
This is not a boom that's going to fizzle in 3 or 4 or 5 years. This is going to be a long time, a 30-year boom.
This big boom covers more than 200,000 square miles in the Bakken oil fields. Now, this isn't a Beverly Hillbilly strike because the oil is actually in underground rock. New drilling technology called fracking means that the roughly 170 billion barrels of crude oil can now be unearthed. Oil production has zoomed up 600% in the last 7 years, putting North Dakota as the second largest oil-producing state in the nation, behind only Texas. Well, we are here on an active oil rig in the Bakken oil fields of western North Dakota. There are about 180 or so oil rigs here in the state. And one reason many families are coming specifically here to the western part of the state is because of all of the economic possibilities. In many oil operations, workers keep their family and home in another state. But in this case, many families choose to live here permanently. Curtis Hansel left his Utah real estate job and brought his family here 2 years ago.
I realized that this was an opportunity to get in on the cusp of something that I think will be good for us in the long run.
It's been good for the Hansel family and many others. The average oil worker out here makes $112,000. Beginners start at $66,000. And even those not in the oil business are making more. The population increase means more demand. So the local McDonald's and Walmart are hiring workers starting at $14 an hour. And many times they add a healthy signing bonus just for agreeing to work there. On the other end of the scale, the number of North Dakota millionaires has climbed rapidly. Last year, the state ranked 43rd in millionaire households. Now, they're up to 29th on the list and climbing.
We have been able to live very comfortably, enjoy some things, for instance, vacations, those kinds of things, and still put a good chunk of money away for the future.
And there's more good economic news here. A staggering low 3% unemployment rate, 75,000 jobs created in the past few years, and a state economy growing at 5 times the national average. All of this has led to some growing pains, however. Dennis Johnson is mayor of Dickinson, a town where the oil boom has been a mixed blessing.
The majority of the people, probably somewhere around 60 to 70%, are positively impacted by the oil development. But there's probably a minority of 30 to 40% that it's a negative impact.
Take housing, for example. Demand is so great that 2-bedroom apartments that used to rent for $500, they're now going for close to $2,500.
It's increased our housing costs quite a bit, and I feel sorry for people that don't have the big oil jobs.
And the increase in people has led to more crime, especially among the young single men hoping to strike it rich.
It's a scary place out here for women. And when girls come out here now, they think it's flattering like I did when I first got out here. And I very quickly reassure them that it's not, and they need to be very careful because these guys they'll take advantage of you.
There's no doubt this Bakken oil field area has challenges, but for Curtis Hansel and families like his, the positives surely outweigh the negatives.
If we do our part, that God will take care of us. And we've had to put that to the test a number of times, and so I don't want to make it sound like it's routine, but for my wife and I, it was just another challenge.
That challenge is proving fruitful for the thousands striking it rich in the oil fields of North Dakota. David Brody, CBN News, in western North Dakota.
Up next, how one teenager is taking to the skies to break a world record.
Announcing an important breakthrough in healthcare that can benefit everyone. If you or anyone you love needs affordable health insurance, regardless of a pre-existing medical condition, call Quick Insurance 123 today and get the immediate relief you deserve. Quick Insurance 123 was created to provide affordable health insurance to all uninsured Americans, with or without pre-existing conditions. This is not a discount card. This is a real insurance program that lets you choose from many affordable health plans, with access to doctors, hospitals, emergency services, and more. So call the number on your screen now and get the health coverage you need, just for calling. As a special bonus, we'll send you a free prescription savings card that could save you up to 85% on your prescriptions. That's right, you could save up to 85% on your prescriptions just for calling. Call Quick Insurance 123 to find out how you can get affordable health insurance and receive your free prescription savings card just for calling. Don't wait. Getting a free quote is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Call today.
This is a national healthcare alert from the Health Hotline. If you, a family member, or a loved one suffers from knee pain and have Medicare as your primary insurance, we've got great news. You could qualify for a pain-relieving knee brace at little or no cost to you. Get free delivery, and all the paperwork is handled by our accredited suppliers at no charge to you. If you're on Medicare and have knee pain, don't wait. You may qualify to immediately receive a pain-relieving brace at little or no cost. Friendly agents are standing by 24/7 to help you. Call the Health Hotline right now for details toll-free. Our friendly representatives are standing by now to take your call. We also have other pain-relieving braces available for shoulder, ankle, and your back. You may be eligible to receive these items and more at little or no cost to you as well. Call right now for details toll-free.
Operators are standing by. Call 855-740-8143. That's 855-740-8143. Again, 855-740-8143. That's 855-740-8143.
Finally on the broadcast today, a California teenager took off today to break a world record.
The 19-year-old is attempting to fly around the world solo. If Matt Guthmiller succeeds, he will be the youngest person to ever complete the trip. He was inspired to attempt the flight after a 21-year-old made the trek last spring. Matt says his parents never expected his interest in flying to go so far.
I always played flight simulator games growing up. Always wanted to go eat out at the airport cafe and watch planes take off and land. And I think at the time they thought I was just going to do this little 20-minute flight, get it out of my system, and now 3 years later I'm going to go fly solo around the world. I'm not really nervous. Of course, once I get out an hour over the ocean for the first time and all I can see is blue, that might change a little bit.
The trip should take Matt about 40 days to complete. He plans to make 20 stops away along the way. And George, I can assure you that even if he's not nervous, his mother is.
Yeah, no kidding. Oh my gosh. And that's a small plane. He's going to do it all by himself.
Yeah, be careful how you encourage your
and
children.
I've been across those oceans. That's scary.
Yeah.
That's all for this edition of NewsWatch.
Thanks a lot for joining us. You can email us at cbnnews.com.